Well, hey guys, welcome to my channel, welcome to my stream, and yet another chapter. Working on this guy here. Now this Cylon Raider is made by Revell. This happens to be the 30th anniversary edition one. We're going to roll this intro and we'll get into it, okay? Okay guys, we're back. We are back and we are continuing this build. I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, this might be the last episode. We might be finished after today. And this is what we got here, okay? So, you guys saw last time we did the masking and did the black stripes on it and did the black on the canopy, okay? So that's all done. Afterwards, I did a clear coat, nice gloss clear coat. You can see it's nice and shiny now. Just with some Tamiya's TS13, I believe it is, just basic clear. And what I've just done, just about 5 minutes ago, is I put the decals on the wings, these little pentagrams, or pentagons, whatever you want to call them, the Cylon, insignias. So I put the decals down and I used some of Tamiya's Mark Fit, super strong. It's doing its work. If you might be able to see in there that it's all wrinkled there. You can see on this camera here how the decal's all wrinkly. It's doing its job in getting the decal to shrink down onto it. While it's doing that, we can do a little bit of some detail painting on this, and that's what we're going to do today. If by chance the decal stuff is dry by the time I'm done doing this painting, then we'll do a little bit of weathering. The plan for the weathering is doing this AK interactive panel liner. This particular one is the panel liner for gray and blue. And you can see I've put a little bit of smudge of paint on there. That's the color. The idea, just like you guys see me do in all my airplane builds, I kind of go around on all the panel lines and I'm going to smudge it all and just do a whole bunch of weathering and just do the same kind of thing that I do on my aircraft. And that's what I'm going to do on this, okay? But that's going to depend on how fast this stuff dries. If the Mark Fit's super strong, dries, then I'll do it. I might be able to do it on the center section, but I'll have to do the wings later. We'll see, okay? But either way, I think this is going to be it, really. Now, looking at some reference photos online of like the actual original models that they used for the show, I did actually manage to find a couple of pictures. And they do have some panels that have some slightly different colors of grays, like particularly these two panels here. This is most noticeable. These two colors are a little bit darker gray, these two panels. And then this little funny thing up here, whatever this is supposed to be, it looks like some kind of suspension for something, I don't know. But this little guy here, this is supposed to be a darker gray. There's a couple of panels here. I'm just going to brush paint them, okay? I'm just going to do that. And so what I'm going to do is I've chose a color that's a little bit darker than the gray that's on this on this ship. And so I chose this one. This is Tamiya's XF54, okay? That is dark sea gray, so XF54. That's the color I'm going to use. I think that's it's a little bit darker shade, and that's what I want to go for, right? So we're going to use that. So let me just make sure this is mixed up. Wow, I don't even have a ball bearing in this one. That means this is brand new. If I don't have any ball bearing in this, that means it's brand new, because I always put bearings in I always put little stainless steel ball bearings in my paints to help mix them up. Make sure they're stainless steel. Don't use brass bearings. Brass bearings will actually eventually rust on you and therefore ruin your paint. As I learned many years ago, I figured, hey, I've got all these brass ball bearings. I'll use those. I had like a bottle of 100 of them from back when I was I think a preteen playing around with slingshots. Yeah. So those bearings, they really help stir up that pigment that gets settled down at the bottom of the jars. when they've been sitting for a while. I do have another jar of this that I've got thinned about 50%. I don't think I need to use that one though. So let's grab a brush. I'll change the camera so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And yeah, I'm gonna have to reference a photo to make sure I get the colors in the right spots. So let's see here. Which one is this? It is this guy here, I believe, is the picture I want. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to be referencing this picture. Not that you guys can see it, but yeah, it's the picture I'm going to use to show which one. You guys are going to watch as I paint this. You know, normally there's another deviation from my normal stuff. I don't normally make you guys watch me paint either, other than the airbrush. So we're going to be doing this panel here. Okay, let's change the camera so you can see. Okay, all right, so I'm going to paint this panel here, right there. I'm going to see how it looks just by using the brush. If this looks like crap, then I'll mask it and I'll spray it. But we're going to see how it looks with the brush, with just a brush. Okay. I don't want to go past the edges, at least not too much. And of course, being a little careful down here. Sorry if that was just off camera. Yeah, I feel like we're going to have a lot of brush lines. You're going to see all my brush strokes. I don't like that very much. One thing we can do is we can try and thin it out with a little bit of Mr. Color Leveling Thinner. Let's try this. I don't like the brush strokes. I think that looks like garbage. Unfortunately, unless you use some leveling thinner, you're going to get the brush strokes like I've got here. See all those brush strokes? That looks like crap. That's garbage. Absolute garbage, right? So, which is why spraying it is a much better option. Another thing you can try doing is put it on kind of thick and let it level out on its own, but that isn't always an option. So, I'm going to try. I don't want to spray because the spraying requires a whole bunch of masking. I don't want to do a bunch of masking. If I can avoid masking it all off and spraying it, then I'm going to try. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, we're going to pour a little bit into here. Don't need a lot. It's not like a huge bunch that I'm painting. And then we're going to use our Mr. Color Leveling Thinner. And we'll level it out a little bit. We'll level it out. We're going to thin it. It's going to thin, but it's also a retarder. So what that does is it makes it so it doesn't dry so quickly, and it allows the paint to just kind of settle down, right? And in theory, it's going to hide our brush strokes. Unfortunately, it does thin it out really thin, right? Now, I could spray this. That would be fine. But we're going to try it out on the other side. We're going to see. I actually would like to. I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper. I'm going to sand this down just a little bit with my extremely fine. Let's move this out of the way for now. I want to sand this down and get rid of my brush strokes. Just because I wound up just too much. Okay, that's kind of flattened it out now. Looks a little better. Okay, so let's try this. Let's get a little bit on the brush here. Let's see. In theory, in theory, this will level out. Okay, in theory. Now let's do the other side here. Let's flip her over. I gotta be mindful not to touch my decals because they are still wet. Let's see here. So here's the thing. Yes, the thinner makes the paint thin and therefore helps in making it level out so you don't get your brush strokes. But with it being so thin, you do have a chance of it actually running on you if you put it on too thick. If you put a layer on too thick, you have a chance of the paint running. So there we go. We have that side done. Now I'm going to do this top little guy here. Let's get his color done. I'll do the sides of it first and get it all painted. Just on our sides. I'll do one side, then the other. And that's also going to give this a chance to dry a little bit while I'm holding it at this same angle. Okay, now let's flip her back over. Now, of course, by thinning it, you might have to do 2 coats. So when you thin it so much, you don't get the same coverage that you would when it's nice and thick out of the bottle. There we go. So we've got the 2 sides. So now I'll do the top. Really does look like some kind of a ratchet bar or some kind of, I don't know what this was. I mean, when they built these kits, you know, they use all kinds of parts from different model kits to make up these things with a technique called kit bashing. Which basically means kit bashing. If you want to know the definition, it's basically kit bashing is taking parts from other model kits and putting them together to make another kit. or to build another model, using parts that were never intended to be used together and building something out of them. And that's something that's been done by the sci-fi movie makers for years and years and years. I'd say since at least the 70s. Okay, so this is drying. This side looks dry, but I got a little bit of a spot here I need to go over again. Got to do another coat on this. Once again, I'm doing it kind of thick, layering it on. Do the whole panel. There we go. Though it does dry quick, even with the Mr. Hobby leveling thinner, it's still, I need to get full coverage on my thing. Okay, so I'm going to hold this like this for a little minute, and so I need to look at my photos. There's another section. Unfortunately, it's not detailed on the kit, but on the original, there's this panel right here, a panel like here, like this. It goes all the way to just about here. That is the darker gray also. They kind of have it, they have a panel line going here and here and going across the top like it should, but they don't have the line going down. I don't really want to paint my own pretend panel lines, so I don't really want to play around with that. But we can do the top of this little guy in here, right there. That's supposed to be the darker gray. So let me turn this around to get this. This is supposed to be a darker gray. Here we go. Let's do this side. Okay, I'll leave this half circle. No, I'm not going to leave the half circle. I'll paint that darker gray too. There we go. Okay, now moving to the back. Moving to the back, these two sections should be darker gray. Two. All right. And what else we got? We've got the insides of these little circles. Those are supposed to be darker gray. They actually look quite different on the original model. The detail on them looks a little different, but that's okay. These are supposed to be a darker gray. Just the circles. And this whole bar should be darker gray. sure I do the sides of it too. Get in there on all the edges. Remember, we're doing it a little bit thick so that the paint can level out. If you put it on too thin, the paint won't level. There's that fine line between putting it on thick enough that it can level, but not so thick that you're going to get runs. It does help that it's kind of, you have it flat, but yeah. Yeah, see, I got a little bit of a run over here on this side. There's not much I can do about that until that's completely dry. I'm going to have to sand that down. And that is the unfortunate thing by thinning the paint so much, that you get runs. This side, I think I got away with it. It didn't, I got no runs in there. I'm gonna do another coat on the top of this one here. Just in a few spots, it looks like it's pretty thin. Got a little bit of a run on this one, even though it's flattened. I guess I tilted it, so I need to try and correct that. Unfortunately, how do you fix a run without getting brush strokes, you know? Add more? I'm gonna try. I'm gonna risk it. Brush this out and we'll see how that goes. So I'd rather not have a run than I'm going to deal with sanding the run out. Now, let's see, any other spots? Anything else? In my photo, yes, it looks like these two little strips back here also need to be a darker gray. So let's turn this around. We're at a point now where I don't think I need to have it quite so thin, so I'm going to put this down and I'm going to add a little bit more paint. Thicken this up a little bit, just a little bit. I don't need it quite so thin. Technically what I could do is actually pour it back into the jar, because having this just a little bit thinner is no problem. We don't need the paint that thick. We don't ever need it that thick as it is out of the jar. So this is supposed to be, I'm going to leave these little brackets that they have, I'm going to leave those normal color. Just do these little strips. It actually looks like checker plating. For whatever kit these things came off of, it's some kind of checker plating. Probably some kind of walkway thing that they borrowed off of another kit. Yeah, see my streaks along here. This is definitely going to need a better coat of paint on this. These look pretty good just with the one coat. Now, I'm going to have to look back. I think the insides of these circles are supposed to be darker color too. Let me just take a look here. They've definitely done some kind of painting on the insides of these circles. I don't know if it's supposed to be some kind of weathering or if they're just doing the darker color. It's kind of hard to tell. I think I'm going to paint them. I'm going to paint them the darker color on the insides. I just put my finger on there. That was a big mistake. There we go. I want to get to the edge of the wall, but I don't want to paint the walls. There we go. That's good. Okay, those are done. Okay, so our dark panels are done. This side doesn't look that great. I think that'll look better once I do my flat clear on top, because that's going to be coming up. But now I've got to touch this up now that I've touched it. So another coat coming up. And if I did one side, I need to do both. Okay, so I want to hold it at this angle because holding the ship flat puts this at an angle, and I don't want it at an angle. I'm going to try and help the drying process along a little bit. Okay, so our dark panels appear to be done. Except for this little guy here needs a little bit of help. That side's good. Okay. So, with that done, we got to do our gun barrels. Those need to be gunmetal color, like they're supposed to be. Although on the original model it doesn't look like they've really done those in a different color, so maybe I'll do light gunmetal. Let's see what color is going to be better. Let's put this down. This over here for now. Another thing is my fins back here, they got painted gray when I painted the ship, and those need to be black. I've also discovered, looking at photos under here, these pieces here are supposed to be a much darker gray, or at least black, maybe even. And the front of the canopy here, I have this gray. I masked that off. That's supposed to be black. So let's grab some gunmetal. I think the light gunmetal is going to be a good color for it. I'm going to cheat. I'm not really going to clean my brush. I'm just going to wipe it off clean. paint our gun barrels. Normally I do this I like to spray the gunmetal color, but this is fine with these little barrels. If I was doing like bigger panels, then I'd be a little more concerned about brush strokes, but the gunmetal is pretty thick, the paint is thick, and it's okay. Just gotta be a little careful underneath here. There we go. Let's make sure to get the tip. Gotta get the tip done. Okay. And we've got paint on all sides, all nooks and crannies. That's the important part. Just get it everywhere. There we go. There's one gun done. This one I'm going to start underneath. Try to be careful and mindful of where I'm touching. There we go. Get that front edge. Okay. Here we go. Second gun done. Second gun done. All right. So that's the gunmetal. Now to do the black, I don't want the gunmetal to mix with the black and become a kind of a metallic-y black, so we're gonna clean off the gunmetal off my brush first. And I'm just gonna use my Mr. Surfacer black, 1500 black. I'm just gonna use the same stuff I've been using for everything else. This has been fairly thinned out for airbrushing, but it'll be fine. It's going to cover. It'll cover, so I don't have to worry about that. We're going to just touch up this. Very carefully. Along our edge. This is the kind of thing where if you happen to paint this off of the model and then install it after, it would be a lot easier. It would be a lot easier to do. So I definitely recommend, if you can paint this off of the kit, then do so. See how I got this here? I got to touch this up. Looks a little weird. brush strokes suck, but it is what it is. It is black. Now, these guys, these all need to be black. All these fins. Of course, when I spray painted the model in the gray, well, it got black everywhere on the inside here. So we're just going to be slathering some black on the inside here. Cover up all our gray. For this, I could use a bigger brush, and that would be more efficient. But, like I said, it's just flat black. It's the Mr. Surfacer black. It's fine. And once we do our final flat clear coat on this thing, all the brush strokes for the black are going to disappear, so it's fine. So let's now rotate this so we get a different angle. I realize you guys can't really see what I'm doing because I have to have it facing in a direction that I can see what I'm doing. So I apologize for that. That you guys can't really see. Obviously you can see I'm sticking my brush in there, but I'm just painting all of the little panels, all the little fins that are inside the engines here. That's really all I'm doing. Okay, another angle done. Next angle. See, that you can tell I'm getting some black in there on the inside of the engines. That all should be black. The whole thing in there should be black. Think about it, the inside of any engine is going to be black from soot, heat, anything like that. Who knows what the Cylons used for their engines? I'm sure they called them something like turbojet engines or something like that. Everything was turbo back in the day. I mean, you had turbo thrusters, turbo lasers. How a laser would benefit from turbocharging, I don't know. But, yeah, that's what they did. Turbo everything. Because it sounded cool, it implied power and fast and speed if something was turbo. Okay, I think we're done. I'm just going to double check for any spots I may have missed. So a spot here and here. A little bit down these sides. Didn't quite go deep enough. Really want any gray showing on the inside of these engines, and so that's why I kind of be diligent to get my brush deep down in there. Spot right back here. Can't get out. There we go. Okay, I think that'll do it for our black. That is done. Okay. So our engines are black now, like they should be, just like that. And our gunmetal's already dry. The front of the canopy is already dry too. That's perfect. And our grays, our dark grays, are finally dry and looks pretty good. This one turned out okay. It doesn't look bad. I think when we get the clear on there, it's going to level it out and it'll be fine. This looks okay too. So we're good. Our dark grays are done. So the only thing is, how are our decals? Our decals are not quite sunk down as much as I'd like. We've got a couple of wrinkles in them, but it also doesn't really matter very much. Okay, that's all sealed up. Let's put this away. And let's clean the brush. All right. I'm just going to pour this back into the jar. There's nothing wrong with that. It's only thinning out the main paint just very slightly. There's no problem in doing that. Okay? So don't be afraid to pour your thinned paint back into the jar. Why waste the paint after all, right? Okay, so our next step. Our next step is doing our weathering. And like I said, this stuff here, AK Interactive's panel liner. Okay? I'm going to shake this up. I think I've got a ball in this, but maybe not. Yes, I do. There's lots of pigment in this stuff. Give it a sec here. Alright. solved. When I first shook this thing, there was nothing, right? I can actually feel the pigment shaking in the bottle. Okay, you guys have seen me do this lots of times. So I'm just going to do one little section here, and then I'm going to do the rest off camera, because this is going to be the end. Tight, 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 tight. Okay, this is what I always do. You guys have seen me do this on every airplane build I do. Basically go along all the panel lines like this and draw them all out. Now this kit, the panel lines are raised, so that adds a whole different dimension. When I wipe this away, the panel lines, it's going to do a totally different effect than what you see if your panel lines are sunken in or if they're scribed. So there's that. Okay, panel lines drawn out on the front here. Okay, just like that. Here's the fun yet messy part. We take this. You can do it right away, or you can wait 5 minutes, let it dry a little bit. I find it's a little bit easier if it's still a bit wet. Okay, we're gonna wipe. Wipe, 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 wipe. Now, this dries it out, it makes it filthy, and that still looks like crap, doesn't it? And that's where the white spirits come into play. This stuff here, again by AK Interactive, white spirit. You can get this bottle or you can get this one. This one happens to be called odorless thinner. It's basically the same stuff. It's for enamel products. It's a thinner for enamel. Of course, the clear coat from Tamiya is acrylic and it's not enamel, so this stuff doesn't do anything to your enamel. It won't do anything to your clear coat. That is the beauty of this stuff. So take a Q-tip. You guys, again, have seen me do this lots of times. Dip it in there. Okay? Put the Q-tip aside, put the lid on, because we don't need it. We don't need it. We don't want it super wet. We're going to take the Q-tip and we're going to go on a paper towel and kind of dry it off mostly. And then we're going to reactivate our paint. And we're going to go along this way. See what's happening? I'm doing this streaking. It reactivates it. Okay? And now it's making it a super dirty little bird, right? That's okay, because you've reactivated it, and you can do this as much or as little as you want. Okay, I'm reactivating it on all the lines, and now I wipe again. Wipe again. And that takes a whole bunch of it away. It still looks really dirty, but we just reactivate it once again. Again, you do this as much or as little as you want to make it as clean or as dirty as you like. If you want a really dirty machine, then don't clean it up very much. If you want a mostly clean machine, clean it up more. You can do just inside of a panel, and I've cleaned that up like that. That looks really nice, right? I think on the front of the ship, it's probably not going to be that dirty, so I'm going to clean up the front more than the back. But I'll leave it in some spots to show this thing has been used and flown and stuff like that. And this is the technique I'm going to use for the rest of the ship, okay? Until it's done. And again, I'm just wiping like crazy. That's all I'm doing. I want to clean up the front here. I want it nice and clean. Streak back in the direction of travel. Streak this back, just like that. Again, you can clean it up as much or as little as you want. It's really up to you. If you want a really clean one, then go ahead, clean up the whole thing. Just leave around the lines and whatever. Just like that. You want one panel that's nice and clean while another one's really dirty, you can do that too. Just panel by panel. It's all up to you. That is the effect. Okay? And after this is done, then we do a flat clear coat over all of it and seal it all in, make it one nice, big, happy family. Do that panel a little bit cleaner. Your Q-tip will get really dirty. You can just rub it on the paper towel like this and then go back at it. Your Q-tip gets too dry and it's not working anymore, dip it into the thinner again. Nice and easy. And do this panel all nice and clean, just like that. Another thing you can do is your finger, wipe it back. Your finger doesn't absorb as much like the paper towel, so what it'll do is it will streak it if you want some kind of a streaking effect. Again, it's up to you. You are the commander, you are the builder. It's your model, your kit, your way, whatever you like. You want it really clean, then clean it up. If you don't, if you want it dirty and looks like it's been abused, it's been in battles and stuff like that, then leave it dirty. I'm doing kind of a mixture of both. I want this to look like it's not fresh out of the assembly line, like this side. I want it dirty and looking like it's been flown and seen quite a bit of action, right? Again, it's up to you. And it's my model, so I'm going to do it my way. Just like that. This takes some time, have some patience. It's not a rush. You don't have to rush on it. It's really up to you. Just like that, okay? So that is it. That is also where I'm going to end it for the day. Okay, guys? So I'm going to continue on this, doing this weathering stuff until it's all done. I think I'm going to put a little bit more of my Tamiya's Mark Fit Super Strong. I'm going to do that on my wingtips now. Just add that on there, brush that on there, help those decals get sucked down a little bit better, get rid of the wrinkles. And that's that. Okay, again, this is where I'm going to end it for today, guys. I want to thank you for watching. You guys are going to see a bunch of still pictures, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this on the Instagram and on my X channel, and you'll see all that. You'll see the links in the description box down below. You're also going to see links to my Twitch channel. If you so choose, you could follow me on Twitch and watch me do this stuff live, and you could comment and you'd see it over in this box. There's a box here. You'd see the chat in the box and you could ask me questions and what am I doing, why am I fat, all that kind of stuff, anything you want. Anyway, guys, other than that, you can leave comments down in the description box, or not in the description box, but leave comments down below. Hit the like button if you like this stuff, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It's free to subscribe and it doesn't really do much in your life, but it helps mine quite a bit, and I'd really appreciate that. Anyway, guys, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.